Welcome to my channel, the PC Amateur Guy. Today I'm gonna be reviewing a ITX case with a flex power supply, and here it is. It's very small. Let's just put it next to Scotty's box here, Kleenex. It's as you can see, it's very small. But this, do not judge it, because like in my previous video, I gave a sneak peek, actually has a 3900X Ryzen in there. So this is probably the smallest PC workstation that you're ever gonna see, or it's very small, and it's actually, I'm gonna run some tests. But before I do that, I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna show you what the parts are inside, and I'm gonna list the parts in the description below. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. But let me open it up and let's go over the parts. Okay, so I opened it up. Just want to share with you the parts. So this is an L9i for Intel. This is a Asrock X570 motherboard. But it's it's kind of interesting because for this board, even though it's Ryzen, excuse me, it actually Ryzen, it actually uses an Intel cooler setup for the 4 holes there, so you can only use an Intel cooler that fits for Intel, like LGA 1155. And here's a 16 gig Trident RGB DDR4 RAM stick. On top here, there's an exhaust fan. There's a 92mm, also RGB, because this motherboard does have RGB. So I decided to add some Bing to it, just to give it some, Bing, and it looks cooler when there's RGB. Some people are not into that. Just note that this is a 50mm size 92mm fan, so if you have a full size fan, it's not going to fit up here, because you're going to have problems. It's going to touch the case here, so you can't fit 25mm. It has to be 50mm, so keep that in mind. I'm just going to come around this side here and just look at from this angle here as well. Here's the flex power supply. It's very small. With flex power supply, it's another version of an ITX power supply, but it's a lot smaller. You can get that from Amazon. This is 550 watt. So it's pretty cool. Enough for like a 3060 if you wanted to put one in here. And then I'm just flipping it over here, and here's an ARC A380. It has dual fans, and actually under 50 degrees it doesn't run at all. But even when it does run, it's actually very quiet. Here's the PCI cable. This doesn't actually need any external power, but it's here in case I decide to upgrade the graphics card here for myself, I guess. Then I could probably put in maybe a 3060, or maybe an Asus Phoenix should fit here, because you can fit a two slot card here. So this is actually just, this one is Asrock, and it's actually a low profile, but they came with the regular slot there that I had to put in, so this fits. But you can put this in a smaller case if you wanted to. And here's the 550 power supply on the other side, and it does use a riser cable 2.0. One thing I do want to mention is when I put this computer on, it didn't work. And one of the main things I noticed is with riser cables, especially Gen 3, make sure you go to the motherboard OS instead of to Gen 3, and then that will work. That will probably fix it 95% of the time. I would even say 99% of the time. And one more thing I want to show you is, actually I can't show you. The NVMe is actually behind the motherboard, which is basically sandwiched between the motherboard and the GPU right now, so you can't see it. But it is an NVMe 4.0. Can run up to 7,000 megabytes per second, which I will show you in the next minute or so. So let me put this back on, and then I'm gonna run some tests to show you what this baby can do. And it's not that loud, to be honest. There's also another attachment here that I can attach to cover this hole, but I was just too lazy to do that, to be honest with you. So I just left it. But anyway, so here's the case. If you're interested in this, I'll put the Amazon.ca link. I believe you can also get this from Temu for like $50 or something. But I paid $100 for this, $120 actually, and it came with the PCI slot, the extension cable. You need a reverse PCI cable. So I thought, just so you know, it's probably around 10 liters, so it's very small. So let me put this back. Let me put this back on, and I'm gonna run some tests, and I'm gonna show you what this baby can do. Be right back. Okay, so I'm back. One thing I forgot to mention, the clearance for the CPU cooler is about like 57 centimeters. Excuse me, around 60 centimeters. So you're limited with CPU cooler options. But if you go with the Noctua L9, it's like 37 millimeters. I mean, I could change the 50-meter fan to something like even 25 millimeters, and that would be about 47 millimeters, which is below 60. It'll still fit. The GPU also you can do double slot, and it can go up to 195 centimeters. So you can fit a small single slot GPU in there, like a 3060. Or even a 4060 if you wanted to do the low profile one. That would fit for sure, because that's like 173 centimeters. So you can make a really compact, put this in your backpack kind of thing, and go to a friend's house, and assuming he has a monitor, and then you can actually even have maybe a mini keyboard with a mouse or something, or even a controller. You can start gaming with this, so it's pretty convenient for traveling. So I just turned it on. I'm gonna put on my keyboard and mouse here, and let's pop this baby on. And there it is. So added some Bing there. You can see the RGB. It's pretty nice. And there's the exhaust fan up there, the RGB. It's running right now. Okay, and just make sure this is on. Okay. Turn on the TV. Turned off on me. There you have it. It's pretty nice. So let me run some tests. I'll be right back.